Thanks for joining us this month for truck company training. Our focus for Engine 23 C Shift is going to be on aerial use for access and rescue. So in review, let's talk about the use of the truck. We should expect that the truck's responding to all calls for structure fires in groups 18 and 19, with the exception of a limited portion of group 18 that is non-hydrated. First two officer responsibilities. When arriving to a structure fire, the first two company officer needs to ask themselves, do you need a truck? If you determine that the truck's needed for the incident you're at, what's going to be the best location for the truck to do the truck work? And then leave room for the truck. A lot of times we'll hear that truck work needs to happen in the front of the building or leave room in the front of the building. And let's think about it as only leave room in the front of the building if there's work for the truck to be done in the front. Otherwise, corners provide a great spotting location for truck work, as it allows the truck's aerial to reach two sides of the building. Let's talk about some more common examples of what you may be used for. In defensive fires, we may be asked to spot for best advantage and set up for an aerial master street. In offensive fires, we could typically be asked to provide a roof report, access a roof for vertical ventilation, or spot to advantage to conduct rescues. When you find yourself in the truck responding to a structure fire and you're building that fire ground, listening to the radio, anticipating what a likely assignment may be for you, we want to standardize some communication. When you're responding in and you're going to be spotting to your best advantage to complete a task in the right location to match the objective, we want to think about what side we're spotting the apparatus on. We're going to use the engineer side for spotting the apparatus as the on side, the officer side as the off side. Why can't we call it the engineer side or the officer side? Well, it's not in relationship to the apparatus and the riding positions, it's a relationship to where the pedestal's located at in the controls. And if we're presenting our ladder to the on side or engineer side, when we swing the ladder perpendicular, the ladder is best viewed from the pedestal, and it's the same side the controls are on is the same side that the ladder you're presenting to your objective is. Reverse is when we're presenting it to the off side, the side that you can't see, that may cause you to stop controlling the ladder, step away, step around the base of the ladder so you can observe your objective in relationship to the tip or the side of the ladder. So consider that when responding to the buildings that you're arriving at. What side of the ladder is going to be the best to operate for the function you're trying? In a defensive environment, maybe it doesn't matter. It definitely matters in a rescue scenario, and it could very well make the operation go easier when you're accessing the roof for a commercial building. Just building more frames of reference, allowing you to more efficiently, safely, faster present the aerial to the desired location.
Okay, so we're going to talk about spotting, and before we spot the building and set the parking brake on the truck, we need to know what our objective's going to be. If we need to access the roof to work off of it, if we're going to be trying to rescue people off of one side or out of a bunch of windows, that's going to dictate what we want to do with the objective, and the goal is trying to present as much of the ladder to our workspace or our rescue area as possible. So that's the goal, and then we'll choose either scrubbing the side of the building or we're going to present the tip of the ladder to the victim. So when we're talking about spotting, we'll say in this instance we've decided we're just going to get up on the roof of this building, and we think that scrubbing it right along this wall is going to give us the most ladder presented against this wall so we can get on and off. And the scrub, if you're not familiar with it, and we'll show you some pictures later to clear that up, is going to be extending the ladder straight past our objective and then bringing it into the wall so that the ladder runs parallel with this entire wall, extending up past the roof line to provide maximum ladder under the edge of that roof. If we were going to present the tip to say access this wall, we would just, as we've done in the past, we would just shoot the tip straight to where we need to go, either to work or to rescue victims, with the goal in a rescue situation to run the tip straight towards the victim, not above them, not below them, as much in a straight line as possible to present that to prevent that person, hopefully, from trying to jump up and grab the ladder when it gets close, or jump down on a ladder that's coming up from below them. So that's going to kind of be our goal with those two types of presentations with the ladder. So once we've decided what we're going to do and what our objective is, when we decide to spot this wall, we want the front of that turntable to be just this side of it, and we can either have a crew member get out and give us a reference spot where they would be looking at where they want the turntable and directing the engineer to pull forward until they get to the right spot and stop them. That's one method. If you're comfortable enough and you've done enough training and you feel like you can hit it as an engineer, you can also use a reference technique where you try to pick something out in the roadway or the concrete cracks or something. As you drive past it, you see that this white parking line is just about where you want to be. So that could be a perfect idea for you to see that. Gosh, it lines up with this one over here. Once I get the front of that turntable to this line, I'm going to stop. And then we're going to set the truck up and ideally be in the right spot. That's going to take an amount of practice to ensure that you're hitting that spot correctly each time. If you stop a little bit short, you're not going to be presenting the maximum amount of ladder in the scrub. If you go too far forward, your ladder's going to hit the corner and you're not going to even be able to get off the end of the ladder. So too far forward is not going to work. If we stop too short, it's not going to be as advantageous or as efficient as we hoped it would be. So that's something that needs to be practiced, and we're going to have some pictures and maybe some videos that show you a couple ideas when the ladder's set up and it's scrubbed where we want it. That's going to hopefully give you some better visuals on a good reference for that. Okay, so this is what the scrub technique's going to look like from the top side here. The tip of the ladder is extended past where we plan on getting on it. It's not a real big deal if you extend it out a little bit further. The main thing is just a visual cue when we're working up here in the dark or in heavy smoke. We can see the tip of the ladder a little bit easier and always have that reference point. And then knowing that by scrubbing this wall, we've basically covered a large section of this with the ladder that gives us the ability to get off of it in quite an area here. And if in the event that a lot of us needed to get on it in a hurry, it gives us that option to do that. You can see how where you spot the engine or the truck is pretty critical in this. I probably could have pulled forward a little bit further than I did. I think we got away with it here, and we still have the ladder pretty tight, and it seems real easy to get on and off of. But that's what I was kind of talking about, spotting too short or going too far, and how that's going to affect you when you get up here. Okay, so we're looking at the scrub from the underside here, and as you can see, we're still not getting really full extension, and we're just kind of starting to come out past this lower mid, which the further we extend the ladder, each section's a little bit narrower, which is going to allow us to get tighter to the building, which is ultimately our goal, is to be as tight to the building as we can. The bracket up there for the electrical system and the discharge for the waterway are going to be kind of our limiting factors right there. As long as we can get the tip of the ladder and the egress past it, none of that light package is going to be a big deal. But these are the things that are going to be kind of impacting us. We're at a pretty short setback right here, so this is about as far as we can extend it before we start hitting these other lower sections and actually increasing our width up on the side of the building. So keep that in mind when you do park the ladder and spot for this type of access. Make sure your setback is adequate, and we'll pull a tape on some stuff and try to give a little bit better reference of what's like the ideal setback, kind of, as well as the height of the building. Those are all going to be factors you're going to have to look at and try to get that thing parked where you want. And then looking from the side of the building where we really want to be, and then spotting right back towards the turntable, you'll see that center pin where the waterway comes down. that's going to be the center of our ladder. And if we spot with that and use that as a reference on the wall that we're trying to scrub, that should put us really close. But like we said in some other ones, you're going to have to do it a few times, practice the setup, and get comfortable with it. That's it. Good. All right, so this is another scrub, and this is going to be with the offside, meaning we're on the opposite side of the turntable, which, like we talked about earlier, just makes it a little bit harder to see this side. You kind of got to come off the controls, step around this side to see where you're at. So some things that make it a little easier is just points of reference. So if you can keep that ladder tip below the edge, the top edge of the building, so you can kind of reference that as you come in. It's just another one that's going to take some practice of kind of getting that visual and depth perception as you start to swing this thing in. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, stepping out and taking a peek and seeing how you're doing, with the ultimate goal being that we're getting it real close before we have to come off the controls. Our setback on this one's quite a bit further. We're able to get the ladder out to full extension, which really was able to get some stuff cleared and really tighten us up there. When we got up to there, it still present an awful lot of ladder up to that roof line, so we can get on and off it real easy. The spot on this one, this line in the concrete, you know, try to use those whenever you can. It draws a really nice line for us right back into the side of the truck, so you can really see kind of where the front of that outrigger, the hinge on that door, those are pretty close to that crack. If you still want to use the center pin, obviously that's just putting it out, you know, a foot or so past that line, and then giving us a really nice presentation for the scrub. So look for a couple of those things, find out what works for you and your crew when you're spotting, and go from there.
We're making some changes to the procedure of riding the tip. Historically, the trucks had two places you can ride the tip. The ladder was designed and engineered with foot plates to protect your feet from crossing rungs. It's not just the rungs we're worried about, it's the inner webbing and the rails, it's the SCBA harness that wasn't buckled, it's the equipment hanging off of you, or your hands that could also be trapped or crossed up in the rungs or webbing of the ladder, as well as the victim you may be rescuing. So in order to prevent this, we're going to make the changes that this procedure is done with only one person, and it's done in the forwardmost location only once the ladder's been extended forward until the yellow lines line up. But we'll be making some more visual indicators that will assist us in this procedure, but right now there's yellow reflective tape on each section of the ladder, and while the ladder's bedded, the operator will extend the ladder forward until those yellow lines align, ensuring that you've extended the ladder past any of the crossing rungs. Use that line of reference when you're extending and also retracting with someone on the tip. We shall not retract past the yellow lines in alignment. So it's only done with one person at the tip. Once it's been extended forward, we have common uninterrupted communication. We're going to utilize the onboard intercom as plan A, and your portable radio as plan B. You have to have been trained how to do this. The minimum PPE required for this will be helmet, gloves, and a truck belt or your escape belt personally assigned to you. The best practice for securing yourself during this procedure will be to secure your truck or escape belt to the top rail of the ladder. The webbing prevents you from further lowering yourself on the ladder, but it allows for movement more forward towards the tip. This could be very useful in the event of a rescue, moving yourself forward to where the victim's at. Lastly, you need to ensure that you know the task, location, objective. So in short, the reason why you're utilizing the procedure of riding the tip. Step one will be while the ladder's bedded, the operator will extend the ladder forward until the yellow reflective tape aligns in a straight line, aligning each section of the ladder, eliminating the crossing rungs at the forwardmost position. As we walk forward, we'll see that step one's been accomplished with the yellow tape lines lined up or just forward of. Once it's been extended forward, the firefighter can walk toward the front of the ladder in the bedded position. Use either of the foot plates, just going to be dependent on size and what feels most ergonomic for you. And then clip in with your ladder belt that's assigned to the truck or your personal escape belt wrapping around the top rail of the ladder. Your constant communication is going to be here with the truck, an operator, and your backup plan will be your radio. All right, so we've extended the ladder forward till the yellow lines align. A single firefighter's moved to the tip of the ladder, secured themselves with their truck belt on the top rail of the ladder. They'll check communications with the truck's onboard intercom system. They've been trained how to do it, and they know the task, location, and objective. In this case, will be to raise the ladder out of the bed, extend it, and rotate it to the right.
Hey Jared, can you hear me? Okay, once you're confirmed that you're clipped in, I'm going to raise you up, rotate around to the right. Copy.
Extend the ladder to reach your objective, and be mindful when you're using this procedure. When you retract, don't retract past the aligned yellow lines.